Happy new and beautiful day, everybody. This is the day that we have made as a collective mind. So, if you do not like what you see, you have to become what it is that you want to see, be, experience, and express. All right. And of course, we are going to start by doing our breath work. All right. And this time we're going to start with a different method of breath work that is going to clear our energy field and to begin to stabilize our nervous system a little bit more stronger to strengthen our nervous system. Because once again, my goal is to strengthen our nervous system to begin to release us out of survival mode, right? And to get us more into the essence of our being state and out of the essence of being in survival mode. So, at the beginning of each live and at the ending of each live, I'm going to, begin breath work and end with breath work. And so this method, I was normally starting off with the 426 method. But this one is going to be the 727 method, and we're going to do that 3 times as well. Okay, where you're going to you're going to breathe in through your nose for counts of 7, and then you're going to hold for a count of 2, and then you're going to exhale through your mouth for also a count of 7, and we're going to do that 3 times. And let me repeat that again so that we could be clear. We're going to breathe in through our nose. We're going to inhale through our nose in count of 7, and we're going to hold that inhale in a count of 2, and then we're going to exhale through our mouth also in a count of 7, and we're going to do this 3 times. Okay? All right. Hi, everybody. I'm grateful for everybody coming in for our breath work. Yay. And I'm also on YouTube, you guys. So if you guys want to show love on the YouTube side, the link to the YouTube channel is in the bio of my Instagram profile. If you want to share some love on the YouTube side, I am live as well on YouTube simultaneously as I am here on Instagram. All right, so let us begin. So it's 727. So let us begin our breath work, and here we go. Okay. Now, that was my first time actually doing it. Hola, 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 eh, hola, hola, eh. Kazi, Kazi, Kazi's in the building now. Kazi, Kazi, Kazi's in the building now. Cosmos is in the building. Kazi, Kaz. What's up, Cosmos is in the building. Hey, Kaz, what's up? Gratitude for your presence. Thank you for divinely tuning in to my frequency. I am grateful and welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. All right, all right, all right. Well, y'all know I got my organic version and I got my organized version. And as you guys can see the title, we're going to begin to talk about clutter. All right, we're going to talk about clutter. And hi Tyler, gratitude for your presence. Thank you for divinely tuning into my frequency. I'm so divinely grateful to have you, and welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, I'm grateful. Thank you. I'm so grateful. Thank you. I'm grateful. So we're going to talk about clutter, right? We're going to talk about clutter so that we can begin to understand, overstand what clutter really represent of, density, right? And so that we can have a little bit more compassion to what that actually translate in pure tone. And once again, this is, for, those who have chosen to ascend, those who have chosen to remember. These lives are for those who have chosen to awaken, chosen to ascend, chosen to remember. Okay. So before I get into all of that, let me go ahead and get into my disclaimers, right? Get into my disclaimers. I'm not here to tell anybody what to do or how to be. I'm only here to express myself of how I understand my now moment. For those who have chosen to ascend, chosen to remember, chosen to awaken, I am given an aspect of myself of how I understand my now moment to leave some illuminated breadcrumbs for those who fit those particular characteristics of that are what I just mentioned, right? I'm not here to tell y'all what to do. I am only here to example the tone, right? To example the tone and let you guys know that this is a tone, a pure tone of source that is available, right? For the essence of the remembrance of self, right? For those who have chosen to remember, right? What's up, King Ali? Gratitude for your presence, my brother. Thank you for divinely tuning into my frequency. I'm so divinely grateful to have you, and welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm only here to example the pure tone, no distortion in my transmission. Just for those who have chosen to ascend, chosen to awaken, chosen to remember, to give you guys something to think about. Because if you did not leave this illuminated breadcrumb, you wouldn't be here. You would not be here, okay? I'm not here to tell you what to do. However, I am here to give you something to think about, right? And secondly, right, any content creator, any celebrity, or anybody for that matter that I speak upon on this platform, all information is heavily, heavily alleged, for I was not there to account or attest the validity of such said information that has been placed out there for public consumption. It could be not. I was not there, so I can't deny or confirm such said event. I'm only utilizing the information to be used as an example for whatever it is that I am making reference to in the live. But anything other than that, just as an example of reference, all information is heavily, heavily, heavily alleged. And more importantly, for me, because I am you, you are me, we are source expressing itself. I move in the essence of divine unconditional love, right? No judgment on this platform right here, chair, right now. No judgment. I move in the essence and the basis of divine conditional love. So all that is being transmitted on this platform is divine unconditional love, no judgment. Well, hello there, Russ Awareness. Gratitude for your presence. Thank you for divinely tuning into my frequency. I'm so divinely grateful to have you, and welcome, welcome, welcome. And once again, I am on the YouTube side simultaneously to that of which I am here also on IG. And so therefore, if you want to show me some love on the YouTube side, the link to the YouTube channel, Divine Words of Wisdom Official, is in the bio of this my IG platform, my IG profile, and all you have to do is click and go, and voila, you will be there. All right. All right. So we're going to get into some compassionate senses of understanding of those who are cluttered filled in their life, and so therefore we could begin to understand density, and so that we can kind of unhitch those claws in those realities that is in survival state for those who have chosen to ascend, right? For those who have chosen to ascend, for those who have chosen to remember, and for those who have chosen to awaken, right? So for those who have chosen to awaken, for those who have chosen to ascend, for those who have chosen to remember, right? So this is where we are going to have some sense of compassion for those who are in that state of remembrance of self. And as I say over here, I've decided to move in the essence of the Arc of Remembrance in pure tone. So you're not going to get the braided tone of, the fear-based sense of understanding. You're not going to get the hierarchy. And you're not going to get the survival tones or any of those braided, dense, distorted, denser tones in my transmission, because you're going to get source tones. So therefore, when you hear stories that are layered, you'll be able to hear yourself, source self, in the purity of self. So I have chosen to give you pure tones so that in any story, that line that you hear, if it's the pure tone, you can hear yourself because you are source. So I have chosen to mirror source, okay? The pure tone of source. So any transmission that I do is going to be in the pure tone of source, not Patrice, not pie tone, not Patrice tone, but the pure tone of source, right? No distorted tone, no hierarchy. These are all experienced tones, okay? So that's what you're going to get in these particular transmissions here that I transmit on these platforms, okay? All right, so I'm going to give you the transmissions of understanding what the clutters are energetically, right? We know what they are in terms of, like, calling people nasty. That's a nasty behind heifer. She don't know blah, 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 and she just nasty, and she just keep all that stuff cluttered on the side, and she just in this and that or whatever. But I want to give you guys a more sense of understanding from an energetic perspective of how that is transmitted through density, and why. You know what I'm saying? And I know if you guys, I know maybe, growing up, we used to hear the saying, cleanliness is next to godliness, right? We used to always hear that in the lower dimensional self, and there is some significance to it energetically in the higher octaves of being. So of course I'm going to give you the organic me, and then I got the organized me, right? So therefore, to give you guys some other examples of a more well-rounded sense of understanding, so therefore that you can kind of balance it out and move along in the matter to which, how you want to now assimilate it in your everyday walk, in your ascensional path. For once again, for those who have chosen to ascend, for those who have chosen to awaken, and for those who have chosen to remember, okay? Awaken, ascend, remember, in however order you are doing it, okay? All right, so this is the cluttering is basically lag. It's lag. It's energetic lag in terms of how one has collapsed realities within their experiences. And so the denser the reality, the greater the lag. And so therefore, what one has chosen to agree with in terms of the collapsed reality experience, agreed and experience to experience, the denser the reality, the greater the lag. So that's just basically, so how they're internalizing. So let's think about it. You got a room and your room is full of stuff, right? So you can't see anything because it's full of stuff. So if internally, energetically, if they have chosen energetic experiences that are dense, they can't see the clutter. So externally, you're looking at them like, you don't see all of this junk around here. No, they don't see it because they're processing it slow. The process is slow. So your external world is going to reflect that of which the experiences that they have chosen. So when you go into someone's home or someone's car or someone's whatever it is that they have, and you're like, okay, what's going on here? Always know it's because of something that is internally processing first. It's an internal processing first, that they have whatever that they have chosen energetically, an energetic experience that they have chosen. Because remember, even though it is an experience, it holds an energy tone, it holds a frequency tone, it holds a frequency container. Okay. And when I speak frequency containers and different things of that nature, because I speak multidimensionally. I do speak multidimensionally. So therefore, if you guys don't understand or understand what it is that I'm saying, I have no problem in speaking in the dimension that you do understand. Okay. So when I say speak energy container, and when I speak braids and different things, that's multidimensional contexts. I will, say it in a different way to that to which you understand it. Okay. So if a being is housing an experience that we may call a boyfriend or a job or trauma, they're trauma bonding to a situation that has transpired that happened to them as a child. Whatever it is that they have agreed upon to experience, it is held by a frequency, it's held by an energy. If they are in agreement with that energy and it's dense in nature, then it's going to project itself in the reality. If they're still in agreement and they don't know how to resolve it or dissolve it, okay? So if there is no dissolution to that energy, it's going to still run its course energetic. It's going to run in the background of their reality, that something is still going on in their reality that is still clogged and bogged in their reality that is still dense. So if they got clutter somewhere, there's a program that's still running in the background that is not clearing the reality so that it could be projected. Because when they're ready to clear that path, then they're gonna be like, something gotta go. This house needs to be clean. They're going to be ready to rid the clog, because they're going to be releasing all of which no longer serves them, to make room for what it is. Now, this is not, I want to make this very clear, because I don't want this to be taken the wrong way. This is no judgment to anybody. As a matter of fact, this is to help those understand why they may have so much in their why things may be going on in their world, in their reality, and why this may be looking the way that it's looking in their reality, to give a more clearer sense of cogent sense of understanding as to why things are happening. Hi, Mr. Everett on the YouTube side, of course, my beautiful friend. Gratitude. Oh, don't stop. Okay. Okay, don't stop. Okay, he says don't stop. This is not to judge anyone. This is to give a sense of understanding of survival, right? Because these are some of the mechanisms that holds density, right? And these are some of the mechanisms that keeps one grounded into the distorted sense of understanding. Okay. And so if I'm in the essence of bringing people to a sense of understanding to ascend out of the denser version of self, you want to be able to understand what is holding you into the density so that you can dissolve it, right? Because it's not, I don't really want to say where it gives you an opportunity to make a change, right? Once you become aware, because you can't do anything unless you become aware of what is actually transpiring. But the difference in what the key difference that I'm adding to the equation is the energy part to it, the energetic aspect of the dynamic of what is actually transpiring. I'm bringing the energetic componency to the equation because we never really saw ourselves from an energetic perspective. So I'm bringing the energetic componency to the equation. Okay, so that you can understand why this is actually transpiring, so that you can start digging deeper within yourself to say, okay, what has happened in my adult life? What has happened in my childhood life? What has happened in my adolescent life that I'm holding on to, that is gravitating to this density? Because the beauty about the clutter, okay, the beauty about the clutter is that it's there to say something to you. It's saying, okay, there are some unresolved issues that are transpiring in that's running programs in your repertoire of experiences that you're holding on to that needs dissolving so that you can clear out the clutter, so that you can clear it out, so that you can start lightening up yourself, so that you could begin to, if you are choosing to ascend, you are choosing to remember, you are choosing to awaken, ascend, and remember, it's going to bring you up in your essence of, ability to do so. Okay, no judgment here. It's just taking out of the distortion, taking out the hierarchy, taking out the judgment, and peeling back the, yes, my friend, truth be told. Indeed, cause indeed, truth be told. It's not to judge anybody. It's taking out all of the judgment. It's there to say something. So if you got clutter around, because if you look at my desk right now, this is telling me, okay, Patrice, you got something going on. If I was to take the thing down and show you my desk right now, I got my perfume. Let me see. I can show you right now. Because I don't want nobody to think that it's a bad thing. Hold on just a second. Let me show you. Because I don't want you to think, oh shit. Let me get it down. IG gets to see it, but let me see. So like, look at my desk. Hold on. See, I got perfume, I got my water bottle, I got my cup, and that's just my little area. So when I look over there in my little area, and I done got it all crowded and stuff like that, and I say, okay, and then, this is my little plug stuff. That ain't nothing I can do until I get me an electrician to figure that little part out. That's just my little plug area. But so that's just electrician situation. But this is me, okay? So with this being me, right? I'm like, okay, I got something, I need to work on, right? I got something that I have to work on. You understand what I'm saying? Now, one might say, okay, well, uh-oh. Okay, I done did something. Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. One might say, well, Patrice, that's not a lot. Okay, no, because I finally done got it a little bit under control. But if I were to go back some years ago and think about it, my husband just brought it up the other day with with my grandkids being here. and he had, what they call it, he had a what's that thing when you have a, not a flashback, he had a I forgot what it's called, but he had a moment where he had saw some clothes, because now the grandkids is here, and he saw them clothes, and he said, "Oh no, I ain't going back to them Glen Cove days." But the Glen Cove, that's when we lived in an apartment and we didn't have no washer and dryer, and we used to have to go to the washing mat. We used to have to go to the laundromat. And there were some days where we didn't feel like going to the laundromat. So them clothes used to pile up, and instead of going to the laundromat, it was easier. Deja vu, right? He had a moment, and he was like, "Oh no, we ain't," And it was days where it was easy for me to go buy an outfit than just to go to the wash house, and we call it wash house. Just to go to the washing mat and wash the damn clothes. It was easy for me to go buy an outfit than to wash. And he was like, "Oh no!" And so he had a moment. He was like, "Oh no, we're not going back to Glen." I was like, "No, it's the kid." It was Cars laughing. Cars like, I was like, "No, it's all the kids' clothes, because the kids is here, and it's the school clothes and everything." And he said he ain't going back to that. He ain't going back to that. And so he was like, "Oh no," and I was like, "No, me either." You know what I'm saying? So it happens, but at the same token, we have to understand that it's a sign. It's a good sign for us to let us, okay, we bogging up, we bottlenecking. You understand what I'm saying? It's there for ourselves to let us know that we're becoming more dense, right? The density is clogging. What experience do you have? It's like a notification. It's like you need to, like, you have all these applications on your phone, okay? And your phone is lagging and slowing down and stuff like that, because you got I got 32,000 pictures and stuff like that. The other day, I'm like, I do not go through these pictures. I don't, and every now and again these memories come up and it select whatever memory it wants to select. It's not like I'm going through all of these pictures and stuff like that, and and I'm like, let it go, Patrice. Let it go. And I went through it, and I just closed my eyes and I deleted them. I just went on ahead and I deleted them, because when I sit down and I say to myself, do I really go through this stuff? Do I really revisit all of this stuff? And if it's not really something that, like really, that I just let it go. I let it go, because you don't really go back to it or whatever. So these are things, you hold on to stuff and you bog yourself down, and it's there to let you know that you're holding on to stuff. I never forget, and like I said, no judgment. I'm giving you my own personal experiences so that you can understand that it is a journey. But these little things are there to let you know, okay, this is why when you see certain people, that when you start seeing, like, rodents and roaches, and that's where they are. That's dimensionally, energetically. That's where they are vibrationally. Okay? That's where the energy is at. It's no judgment, it's energy. Now, does the experience judge? Yes. Yes, it does. But when you get into this space and I understand where the energy reside, the multi-dimensional self in the essence of the higher mind, I understand, yeah, that's just where the energy reside. But when I get down to the essence of, the third dimensional me, the fourth dimensional me, that's not where I want to be, because I understand that's where this ease reside when you get in that energy, right? That's where sickness reside, because it's so stagnant. It has time to permeate this ease, because it's stale, it's sedentary. You know what I'm saying? It's moving slow. It doesn't it has time to marinate. You understand what I'm saying? It has time to marinate. It has time to get stale. It has time to, you know what I'm saying? So you begin to understand why you want things to flow, running water. You want running water. You want things to move. You want things to circulate. You want things to flow. You don't want things to be there to stagnate and what they call it, where the water settle. When the water settles, it start growing and making bacteria and stuff like that. And they say, oh, certain bacteria, can help things and stuff like that or whatever to a certain degree. But imagine if you are moving and you're always on the go and you're doing stuff and everything and you're not as dense, right? Formulate and cause yes. Like I say, no judgment. It's just to understand energy and why they don't see the clutter, because the clutter is within. All right, like when you live in the projects, right? And you got all these buildings, environmentals, right? The environmental aspect of being, and you got all these buildings and different things of that nature. Hi, Leather Flowers Design. Gratitude for your presence, beautiful. Thank you for tuning into my frequency. I'm so divinely grateful, and welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you. When you have the project, so now you block it. So now you're visualizing stagnation, right? You're perceptualizing where you don't have no flow. You don't have no flow of air, no flow of, and you don't have no, and then the mind is not getting like the oxygen from trees. Just like when we talk about breath work, okay? So to give you an example of breathing, if you ever have a fan that's like giving you oxygen and different things of that nature, that really do, believe it or not, even though it's not really good, well, it's good, but it's not really as natural. But if you have air coming in, so that's why when you go in an environment and it has a lot of trees instead of buildings, right? Because of breath, because of air, because of oxygen, right? Because it's not stagnant in nature. So when you environmental and in terms of energetic flow, you have the buildings and different things of nature, how energy is flowing, the stagnation of energy when you have projects everywhere and you don't have no trees, and you got concrete everywhere and you don't have no trees, and you don't have no oxygen, you have no energy, you don't have no flow. This is where the breath comes in, and this is where oxygen comes in. It's energy, no judgment, pure tone, natural flow cause. Yes. That's why I say I'm not here to judge. Not here to judge. I'm here to speak energy. I'm here to speak pure tone, right? So that way, when you hear other stories that are layered, you can hear yourself source in those messages. You can peel back the onion. You can peel back the layers of the story and find the truth of you, which is source. Okay? You can hear yourself. Okay, so we have the ability to, understand it. We can judge it and call people all kind of things, but you're only calling yourself that. When you start talking about other people, you're only talking about yourself. A lot of people don't understand that, you don't really understand it, but you're experiencing separation. Okay? Divine has afforded us the ability to experience itself in a separate form of self. But you're only talking about itself. So the love of self is going to help other version of itself. And that's what I'm here to do, is to remind a version of me. This is why I have clutter. Hi, golden sugar. Hi, beautiful. Gratitude for your presence. Thank you for divinely tuning into my frequency. I'm so divinely grateful to have you, and welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm grateful. Thank you for being here. So I'm helping myself, right? The lower version of self. I'm helping myself. Okay? I'm helping myself. Oh, I love the love. I'm grateful. I'm helping myself. So, understand the energetic. Now, I do have, like I said, I have the organic me and then I have the organized me. That's some information that I've gotten off of Chat and GPT that gives, some in-depth information about, you know, the clutter version of self, the hoarder version of self, and different things of that nature. But my understanding of the hoarder version is that's wires. That's to me that's wires crossed. That's where your wires is literally like that's an experience when it's at that extreme. Okay, that's a chosen experience when it's at that extreme. Um, and that's a big difference when it's that extreme. Um, but when you really do sit down and you have a conversation with beings that are hoarders, and you go into their environment and you listen to their conversation, you could kind of determine. The thing about it is, and this is the key essential thing, the thing about it is it's not about going into the environment to change anyone. And that's the misconception that many of us make when we do these particular types of lives. When we make these lives, it's there for them to run across. It's not to impose. It's not to like say, okay, I'm giving, it's for them to find themselves. Okay, it's for them to align to, for them to understand themselves. It's not for us to impose or anything. It's when they are ready, when they are truly ready to make that transition into the next phase of their experiences. But for those that are here at this phase and they're listening to these lives, it gives you now a different perspective of how to see them and how to see those people that are actually operating. It affords you an opportunity to know better, to do better. And so when you see those that are operating from that level of consciousness, it allows you now to operate at a different capacity or a different compassionate state of understanding, because now you have aligned with a higher sense of knowing energetically as to why these beings from an energetic perspective is in a reality or choosing a denser reality, and why density is begotten, is expressing externally density. So the next time you see somebody with a dirty car, you kind of know that it's because energetically they are choosing in their reality experiences that are dense, and they can't see it in the manner to which you are seeing it. Okay, now another form, and that's if you're, and that is if you now, and I'm going to talk about something too also I'm going to give, and you know what, I'm going to give you guys an elevated tip. I want to give you guys because I speak multidimensionally. I'm going to give you guys an elevated tip because I've come across some things, and it's more than one way to kill a cat. So I'm going to do something a little slick here, a little slicky slick. I'm going to give you guys an elevated tip, okay? In regards to energy containers, okay? Yeah. So you can go into the experience, right, and see the experience. There's two things. So if if you are not living that way, and you see a person and they're that your house is not like that, and you're a clean freak or whatever, and you're not housing density, you're not housing clutter, you may not be cluttered filled in that way, because everybody expresses clutter different. Your clutter may be expressed in a different type of way. It may not be that in a way where your car is nasty or your house is nasty. It may be in a way that how you experience family, how you experience friends. It may be that you have a high count in, you may be cluttered in a different type of way in relationships, in friendships. So clutter don't necessarily comes, It comes in many different forms, just like anything else. So that some people just choose to clutter in, things that we have kind of like pronounced as clutter, in terms of your book bag is heavy, your kitchen dirty, your car nasty, and all this other kind of stuff. But clutter comes in different forms. Okay, so just because you may not clutter in that way, or you may not be a hoarder in that way, or your housemate, you may clutter in a different type of way. Okay, so but nevertheless, you can identify. So let's say you may not, if you align with it and you saw it, you mirroring it for some reason. If you saw that clutter, now your house may be clean and your car may be clean. Okay, you may have a clean house and you may have a clean car, but there's a reason why you mirrored that frequency. Okay, there's a reason why you are able to, because we're multidimensional. Okay, so it's a reason why you mirrored that frequency. And so if you collapse that reality into your timeline and you mirroring that frequency, it's a reason why. Now you may not be mirroring it in the manner to which that the way that are good to judge, right? Because it may not be the exact same way that person is choosing to express the cluttering, but you may have you're holding that frequency container in energetically. You see what I mean, cause? Yes, right? So that's a whole nother live, and I could get into it, but it's a reason, because honey, like, to give you an example of why. Okay, so I'm at a point now in my authorship that I don't even drop containers I don't even open containers, because if I open the container, I know that the multidimensional me, because I experienced third density, and you ascend up into your higher self. The multidimensional me, the likelihood of me mirroring something in the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, I'm gonna mirror a frequency band in that, because of the multidimensional me. So if I pick up on a frequency container, that especially if I know, if I can, feel the energy of the being, there's some things that I won't even open the container. I won't even open the container of the energy, because I already know that the likelihood of something being in there for me to mirror is probably going to be something likely than not. Okay, so you could pick, choose, and you could pick, choose, and refuse. So to give you an example of energy container, when you scrolling, that's an energy container. When you open it, so sometimes you can look at the person and kind of know, like, for instance, Tyrese. I don't really open up stuff with Tyrese, because I already know what I'm gonna get. You know what I'm saying? Like, I already kind of know what I'm gonna get. You understand what I'm saying? As far as the energy container, right? So you kind of, and so there's always, probably depending on the multidimensional you, it's probably going to be something that's there that you're going to actually be able to mirror, because you're coming from third density. So it's going to be something in the third density, maybe fourth density, fifth density, that's going to be there to, right. His frequencies. There's always going to be something that you can mirror in that regard. And then it might be something that's triggering, and you'll be like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? I got triggered by something that he said, or something that she said, or something that he did, or something that she did, or whatever the case may be. That's what happens to what's the young lady name? That's what happens to Cardi B. She opens up, certain frequency containers, and she gets triggered, right? She gets triggered. And so, and then you go on to these things. The key is, don't open up the container, especially if you kind of see the being that is there. So if you already know the characteristics, if you read the label before, like, let's just have a package of cigarettes, right? And the package of cigarettes says, I'm harmful to your health. So the package of cigarettes is already telling you I'm already harmful to your health. It's telling you that I'm harmful to your health. And you still open up the package anyway. You opening up the frequency container and you're still divulging because you still want to experience this frequency container. Okay? All right? You still want to experience it. Okay? Containers that okay? Because I already know that there is something that's going to be there dimensionally, multi-dimensionally, energetically that I'm able to mirror. Okay, it makes sense? Right. It makes sense. Okay. So you may not reflect the same way that that person is reflecting in terms of how they are, hoarding or cluttering. But if you open up that container, there's something there that you are mirroring. That's why, you trigger. So you shouldn't judge. That's just the bottom line. We shouldn't judge. Because they're multidimensional, just like you're multidimensional. You open up their container, the likelihood of you finding something within that container, within them, it's going to hit you a mirror, and then boom, trigger or whatever. That's why it doesn't make any sense to judge, right? That's why I don't judge here, because it doesn't make any sense to judge. It's no judgment. Okay, no judgment. What do you mean? No, it don't make no sense. I just don't open up the container. So why don't you open up? You judging yourself, indeed. Why don't you open up the container if because I have sense enough to know that if I'm not in resonance of that vibration or that frequency, why would I want to experience something that I'm no longer in resonance in? It's about resonance. Right? I understand the resonance. Well, hello there, the above. Gratitude for your presence on the YouTube side. I'm so divinely grateful. And thank you for being here on the YouTube side. Yay! Got somebody on the YouTube side. Ooh, I'm grateful. Thank you. Right? So why open the container? I'm grateful. Thank you. So it doesn't make any sense because it's not vibrational. First of all, it's not vibrational sound because I can automatically kind of somewhat I can feel it. You could feel the resonance. You could feel the tone. So I already know what I'm going to get before I even open up the container. So why would I open up the frequency container when I'm already feeling the resonance and the tone of the container? And then that's just like how they say, I'm running toward the problems instead of running away from the problems. Like I'm being so curious, and I'm already like, like I shouldn't go over there. But my curiosity, that's what I say, curiosity killed the cat. My curiosity said going over there. But you like, no, you don't need to go over there. You're not listening to your intuition. Your intuition like telling you, don't you carry your behind over there. But your curiosity like, go ahead and open up that container. But you're like, no, you better not open up that container. That container got something in there where you don't want, and your curiosity. So, I ain't curious no more. I'm following my intuition. My intuition is basically saying that ain't what you want. And so that ain't what I want. That ain't what I want. I ain't opening it. You know what I'm saying? I'm only moving in to the essence. The intuition is the higher self. Right. The vibration of the true you, of the true self, or the purest tone of you, the pure tone of you. And that's coming from the YouTube side, guys, on the above. I'm grateful. Thank you. Right? So when you begin to understand that essence and you don't open up certain frequency containers, and then you still don't judge, you don't judge yourself because you really truly are judging yourself, right? I'm grateful. You don't judge yourself. All right. That's the key essential thing about, looking at the aspect of the divine self in wholeness. When I say you don't judge yourself, okay? You're no longer moving from the illusion of separation when you begin. The authorship of you understands the self in wholeness, experiencing self in multiple forms of itself, and just experiencing itself in a vibrational state of many different vibrational states of being, right? So it doesn't make any sense to judge. You're only judging yourself when you understand thyself in wholeness, in a state of the divine sacred self, right? So when you see the clutter, when you see the being you know, the denser side of itself, they can't see that paper on the ground, or they can't see that trash everywhere. And when you go and you be like, don't you see all this stuff? Yeah, but they ain't got the strength. They bogged down. Like they don't have and sometimes they may see it, but they don't see it. It's like they so lagged. Just like when your phone drag. When your phone got too much stuff in it, it drags. You be like, dang, I gotta delete some of this stuff. Yes, that's what they gotta do. They gotta delete some of these problems. They gotta delete some of these experiences within their repertoire of what they're thinking about and what they're holding. They gotta delete it. If they don't let it go, if they not deleting nothing to make room for lighter experiences, or experiences that just don't have no density at all, what do you think is going to happen? You are this. Everything is a replication of you. I keep trying to tell y'all that we're one of the blueprints. There's this computer system and everything came after. We're the blueprint. So it's the same thing. You got to delete experiences, delete things that no longer serve you. You know, I've been through some problems and situations in my life. When I had an experience that was less desired, I deleted that shit. I'm like, what? It ain't happening no more. So what am I holding on to it? Of course, you know, I done had a molestation situation that happened to me. Ask me if that shit bothered me. That shit don't bother me. Hell, he dead. Shit, that make it worse. He gone. He out of the experience. He transitioned on to another experience. Why would I let that? Why would I hold on to that when it ain't happening no more? It ain't. I mean, I don't mean to bring it to less. Okay, let me clear it up, because I don't want to sound insensitive. I don't want to sound insensitive, right? Control, Alt, Delete, right? I don't want to sound insensitive, because I got it. I don't want to sound insensitive, because you know when you get to this level, you know, when you get to this level of understanding of how you are in the experience, it can be assumed that you are less compassionate to those who are choosing to experience the experience at miles length. So I don't want to take away from those who have chosen to experience the experience in the manner to which they are choosing to experience the experience. And I went through the kit and the caboodle, okay? From the rooter to the tutor, okay? So it's not to say my degree of the experience is not that to which, you know, others have experienced it, okay? Okay? All right, so let me rephrase. But I do understand that it is an experience. I can choose to allow the density of that experience to bog me down, not make room for other beautiful experience to commence, and hold on to something that doesn't make me better, that put me in victim. I can't even talk about it like that, because I'm like, ew, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just heavy. I just feel like a little monkey on your back. You know what I'm saying? It just feel heavy. Like, it ain't like I don't want to talk about it because it's like, oh my God. No, it's like, that shit is over. Like, it's done. It's over. It's done. It's not happening. It happened, and it's not happening anymore. It stopped when it stopped. I stopped it. I stopped it. Right? Okay, say pause, do the poll collection. I stopped it. It stopped. Okay? So, but I'm not saying that it's, abundance, Mr. Monk. Gratitude for your presence. Thank you for divinely tuning into my frequency. I'm so divinely grateful to have you, and welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. Mr. Overt says, yes, I understand, but it was so funny to me because we share the same experience, but mine still live. Yes, but you know what, Mr. Overt, let me say this. I don't want to say because the perp is no longer here, that it ended for me in that way. Even when the perp was still here, it ended for me because I ended it. I somehow or the other, I said it was done. Just like when I was very young when I said it was done. Yeah, I said it was done. Yes, Right. You see? So when I said it was done, it was done. The uninstall. Done. But I'm weird. You know, I was born with a veil over my face. They say L. They even spelled my name different. I ran in the church doing church service. My granddaddy was in the pulpit, and I ran straight down the aisle as if he wasn't even preaching, and nobody said a word because I was the pastor's granddaughter. I just had no couth. I've been different all my life, right? It's just they call me Pie. What pie? I just okay. So when you understand thyself in the manner to which you do in just knowing you, and I'm not taking away, and I don't like talk about stuff like this in this way because I'm a little bit. I don't want to send the wrong message, okay? Because I do care and I do understand. I understand from a compassionate sense, but I'm not going to emotionally charge a reality that doesn't deserve an emotional charge, right? It doesn't deserve to have an amplification, a densified amplification of a dense experience or distorted experience. So I'm not going to emotionally charge something. If I'm going to emotionally charge something, it's going to be that to which I truly want to experience. That of itself, that is going to be, something that needs to be emotionally charged. Like if somebody did do something to one of mine, right? If somebody did do something to one of mine at a time, right? And I need to amplify and emotionally charge something to beat the holy shit out of their ass, right? Oh yeah, I'm going to emotionally charge that. I emotionally charge that because it's time to whip some ass. You understand what I'm saying? I'll dimensionally drop to that zero and emotionally charge that. But depending on where I dimensionally want to be in terms of the situation, in terms of it's I know that's cars. I know that's cars. I know that's cars. Like you mess with one of my babies. You know what I'm saying? That switch will flip, okay? You know what I'm saying? But I just depends on what I want to emotionally charge. I'm a multi-dimensionally being, okay? Okay, I'm keeping it a book. I'm keeping it a book. I'm keeping it a book. Okay? I'm keeping it a book. Alright? Alright. No fakeness over here, okay? Emotionally charged. Right. Where do I want to emotionally charge? I'm not going to dispense an emotional charge where I don't want it to be. Okay? That's just what that really boils down to. Okay? I'm going to allocate it to where I see or where I deem it necessarily to be emotionally charged. Okay? And it takes, it takes some skill because I'm not reactionary anymore. You know what I'm saying? I'm precise a little bit. I'm starting to become a little bit more precise in terms of how I respond instead of react. So it's more of a response in terms of how I emotionally charge a reality. No charge to no open container. Hey, listen, Mr. Overett, no triggers. It's getting there. Like I'm not gonna say I'm 100% here. I ain't gonna say that. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I ain't gonna say that. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you, but I'm close. Duck with the water on the back. Okay, I'm close though. I'm getting there. Right? I'm gonna keep it a buck though. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Y'all know I'm very transparent. Okay. So when you start seeing people with the clutter and stuff like that, just overstand. That's just like your phone. I'm always make it relative to that of energy, phone. I'm gonna make it relative to that so that you can understand that it's your everyday thing that we use every single day. That you can apply it to your relative reality to how to see yourself. To make it, associable and assimilative, right? So you can, associate and assimilate. Right? Making awareness of the goal, yes. Right. If you're ready to, like I say, if you're ready to awaken, ascend and remember. I'm grateful. Hi, Plant Bracer Man. I'm grateful. It's an honor to have you. Our Plant Bracer Man says, greetings, Mama. Honored to be here. Well, it's an honor to have you, and I'm so divinely grateful that you are here, and welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Right? So, keep in mind what time it's 12:30, so I got about a good hour. So keep in mind that, well, not really quite an hour because I got to pick up my baby. Keep in mind, so when you see things, when people are, not all that clean and they moving from a whole nother different, they're holding stuff in. They got things going on. Their mind is probably moving 100. They're running by 20 gazillion applications. They got applications going down and going north. They ball. They got a whole bunch of stuff going on, and they're probably full to capacity. So no, they can't see. They can't see all that trash and all that stuff that's around them. They don't know that trash. They know that it's there, but if they're data capacitated, if they're fully capacitated, and they're bogged, where they gonna get the energy from to clean it? Where they gonna get the energy from to clean it up? Now, think about it. You can go in and clean up everything around them. But if they don't uninstall that application within themselves, what do you think going to happen to their environment again? If they don't do the uninstall, if they don't do the uninstall themselves to clean up the applications within themselves, you could go in there and clean their house, and you could clean their environment, you could clean up everything. But if they don't do the uninstall themselves of what's going on internally, you can clean up around it. But what do you think is going to happen again over a period of time if they don't do the cleanup work within? All it's going to do is get back into the same conditional state that it was before, because it's not external, it's internal. Everything external is a byproduct of what the internal state is. So you can go in there and clean up somebody. In order for them to have a clean house, they would need, okay, so let me tell you something. Why do you think a lot of these wealthy people have maids and stuff to clean up their place? I can almost guarantee you that if they had to clean it themselves, it would probably look a hot mess. If their internal state relied on themselves to do a lot of stuff, it probably would not. The truth of you, your internal state, the truth of you, that it's a gift. It really is a gift. It's not a detriment. It really is a gift. It's built by design to tell you where you are at in your internal state. Now, when you do get into that caliber where you have maids and different things of that nature, I mean, okay, you ain't got to do it no more. You're operating at a different calibration of energy, right? That's a whole nother live. That's a whole nother live. But that's a whole nother live where I could go into a whole nother live with that one. That's the one that's where I really want to take. I really want to take it there. I really want to take it there where, survival is an experience. I really want to take it there where people can understand that survival is a state of spirits. I have premonitions. It's not even a premonition. I do know that it does exist. And it's pretty much now to a point where I understand that's how the pyramids and all of that was built before Earth before Gaia became Earth. You said, let's go. Look at you. Look at Kaz on the IG side. YouTube said, let's go. Right? But yeah, buildings are building themselves. through energy, frequency, and vibration. So therefore, you didn't have to do anything, but just like your energy coordinates within would just build it. And that's pretty much how these buildings and different things of that nature were actually done. it, it wasn't, there was no such thing as like manual labor to how we were doing it in the lower mind, but that's just for us to experience ourselves in that dimensional state. But I see it now clearly, like the opulence level to how we were experiencing. Well, it's happening. It's not to say that it's not happening. It's actually happening in parallel dimensional experiences. So it's not to say that it's not happening. It's actually happening. But that's the cuckoo for cocoa puff version of self. Um, but yeah. So, but as I say, that's those are little the crystal drops. And if you guys, I know there are beings that don't, they look at you have in the non-distorted version of self. There are so many dimensions where um the pure you actually experience itself, you know, where the distorted version of self in wholeness doesn't anchor because it doesn't have anything to anchor to. I mean, it's there. The shadow self is going to always be there, but it doesn't have anything to anchor to. So it just simply dissolves. It just stays dissolved. It's just like a mist because it doesn't have anything to energetically to anchor to be an experience. So it just stays like a little mist of energy. So there are beautiful experiences where there is no distortion. That your shadow self just doesn't have anywhere to anchor. Your shadow self is in every dimensional you. That's the wholeness of you. So it's not like the shadow self just totally dissipates. No, it just doesn't have anywhere to energetically anchor. When you ascend into the higher octave of self, of the divine self. So it doesn't disappear. It just doesn't have any coherences of stability. It doesn't have nothing to stabilize itself on in the higher octaves of the vibrational self. All right? And that's a higher knowing of self. I'm giving you guys so that y'all, for those who have chosen to ascend and chosen to remember, right? I'm just giving you one. I'm gonna give y'all some more for those who have chosen to ascend and chosen to remember, right? Those awakened minds who have chosen to ascend and chosen to remember, and, And another little thing that I'm gonna give y'all: if y'all have chosen to ascend, the greatest gift that you could ever give yourself right now, and I'm coming off track because I gotta get to my organized self. The greatest gift you could give. God, I ain't messing with you, Cosmos. Cosmos is in the building on the IG side. Cosmos. The greatest gift you could give yourself is for those who have chosen to ascend, and for those who have chosen to remember. The greatest gift you could give to yourself is your ascension. And I'll get into it on a different night, but not right now. I'm debating. I'm still debating on whether or not if I should have this conversation or not. I really am. I'm debating on whether or not I should have this conversation. So, but the greatest gift you could give yourself is to ascend. And then once you've ascended, you'll start to figure things out pretty much easily. I may not even have to give this conversation, because once you get into your ascensional path, you kind of somewhat figure things out. That is the figuring it out thing. Like, you figure it out. Why you think like in real time it's heavy? Yeah, you know it is. It's when you kind of sort of it is, but then when you get to a certain spot, it all starts to align. I think the heaviest part of it all is your nervous system. Yeah, the heaviest part is your nervous system. Getting your nervous system acclimated and regulated. I think that's the heaviest part. I think that's the hardest part is you getting your nervous system to trust the process, because it's been in survival for so long. It's like, I don't care what you say. Like, we've been in this conditioning for so long. How can I believe the words that are coming out of your mouth? Like, how can you, like, you've been saying this way for so long. Like, how can I believe the words that's coming out of your mouth? But I think your nervous system is what is the real true test, the avatar, the form self. The form self is going to be the greatest hurdle. I don't even want to call it a challenge, but I will call it the highest hurdle. And that's why I changed the breath work to the counts of 7, because as to represent the highest hurdle. Cause I changed it to the counts of 7. All right. So I changed the breath work, and at the end of this live, we're going to do the breath work at the count of 7. Right? So we could get our nervous system in some good shape. I'm taking our nervous system to the gym. I'm taking my own nervous system to the gym. Hey, listen, I did that cause, and Mr. Overy. I did that 7 count. 7, it's 727. And you know that's my number, right? I did that 727. Hey, boy, look at here. Woo! Baby. Hey, cuz I was like, so both of us finna be in the breath gym. We finna be in the breath work gym with that 727, baby. 727. We finna be in that 727. Yes, 7 in the nose. Hi, Miss Galaxy Goddess. Gratitude, sweetie. Gratitude for your presence. 9311. Hey, let me tell you something. He wasn't. Hey, baby. What's your phone number? Hey, listen, 7779, but 727, 7 in the nose, hold 2 seconds, count, and 7 through the exhale through the mouth. When you do that, I see why. So we finna take it. Hey, Miss Galaxy, we finna take it all the way home. Hey, 7779311. Baby, that's all right. 777. Baby, what's your phone number? All right, so yeah, don't got me started. All right, so now we're finna get into these. We're finna get into the organized part of it, and I'm gonna go ahead. Y'all know I'm gonna read it verbatim so you guys can get a grip of what it is in terms of, you know, a more organized sense of understanding what it is that I was saying earlier. No judgment, y'all. No judgment on this. All right, and so here we go. Right. So what it says, if we translate, you know, what clutter really means energetically, then we won't judge. All right, we won't judge, because it really is stress, emotion, environment. What did I say? Environment, stress, emotion, traumas. You know, traumas that we bond to, It's basically things that we are holding on to, programmings that we won't let go of, that are very dense in nature, that are very distorted. So you got all of these emotional programs running in the background that you may not even be experiencing anymore, but you kind of somewhat is holding on to it as like, yeah, I remember I went through all of that, and yeah, and I can identify and I can relate. And yeah, it's running, you still got these programs still running, and it's still kind of like holding all that density in, holding in that density that is there, that is unresolved. And you want it to dissolve so that it can make room for you to have a more lighter experience. And so these are some of and the thing about it is that it is survival. It's survival codes. Well, hello there, New Earth 7, Abundance Divine. Well, hello there, sweetheart. How are you? Gratitude. Long time no see. Gratitude for your presence. Thank you for divine. I can't remember your old name. The mother. That's what it was. I knew it was going to come. Thank you for divinely tuning into my frequency. I'm so divinely grateful. And welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here, and welcome. It's running in the background. Yeah, see, you didn't think I was gonna remember. I remember. I remember. Hey, beautiful. I remember. It's running in the background. So, you want to kind of, you release it and everything. Because always remember, you could get somebody to come in, and clean up and everything like that. But if them programs are still running in the background, it don't matter how many times you get somebody to come in and clean up and do everything. All it's going to do is a person is just going to get back into the same thing, because they haven't did the work within themselves. So whatever's going on within is a reflection. The outside is a reflection of what's going on within. So we're going to get into it. No judgment. It's a beautiful thing to see. All right. Before I get into it, I know, because I'm just an organic girl. Y'all know. But I promised that I was going to be well-rounded. If we went to a person and instead of ridiculing, you know what I did with my son, my grandbaby today? My grandbaby is so used to being yelled at, right? My grandbaby is so used to being yelled at. What did he do? He did something. Okay, yeah, the bathroom. So I don't, you know how some people, with their washcloth, right? Some people like to fold a washcloth. They fold it and they fold it over. Well, I don't like my washcloths. When you bathe, I don't like my washcloth folded and you fold it over. I like it where you fold it over so that it can air. You don't fold it and then fold it over, because in my mind it harbors germs. It needs to have a way where it can breathe, dry and breathe, right? Or whatever. And right. So I was just simply telling him, no, baby, that's not how you do it. And he just got mad and he kissed his teeth. And that's a big thing with me. Don't kiss your teeth with me. So, you guys call it suck your teeth or whatever. Suck your teeth. He kissed his teeth. He went, I said, boy, who you kissing your teeth at? Like, that was a trigger thing. Cause I'm trying to show him, no, you don't fold it like that. And he kisses teeth. And I said, and at first I was like, I could yell at him, but you know what? I just gave him a hug. When I gave him a hug, he just melted. He melted because he's so used to being ridiculed. Right? He was ready. His survival was ready. He was ready for fight. He was ready for impact. He was ready. He was bracing up to be yelled at. He was bracing up to be, he was ready for that battle. He was right. Man, here we go again. Somebody, I did something or whatever. And because I didn't do it right, or like how, somebody didn't want me to do it or whatever, I'm ready to fight now. He was ready to fight. I'm like, and I was just going to show him, his mama may have showed him that way, and it may be right for her. And maybe, I don't know why she adopted that process. Maybe he adopted it on his own. I don't know. But, in my house, I don't like funky. So when you do the rag like that, to me, it harbors funky. So I just was trying to show him, no, baby, that's not how you do it. He was, because I had said something about him doing wrong, something wrong. Hello, Lion Ayuda. Gratitude for your presence. I'm grateful. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for tuning into my frequency. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, but he was ready. And so one mind said, no, that just hug him. And I hug him, and he just melted. He just melted, right? He just melted. So, all right. So, not everybody you can do that for. I do understand, overstand. But just think about it. Now, let's say you got somebody that's hoarding or whatever the case may be, right? And then you go to them and you be like, damn. But see, now, it ain't about you going behind their back and being like, them some funky ass people. And, you genuinely understand the situation as to why they are like that, and you face. So whatever you are in their face, you genuinely is the same behind them, because you want that cadence of energy to be the same. You want it to permeate into the collective aspect, right? You say, you know what? This represents something that is going on internally within you, but it can fix. It can dissolve. You have to decide. You have to decide what it is that you're holding on to. And the thing about it is this: you're not going in to fix nobody. Because see, the key thing to understand is that we're not here to fix anybody, because the thing of it is this is that their chosen reality. The only thing that we're here to do is example and just give tools. Just give tools for them, just give tools. That's it. They have to come to the realization for themselves. And we can handicap the situation and go in and maybe clean up after them or whatever the case may be, but they still have to come to the decision themselves when they are energetically energy ready. And force ready is two different types of ready. Because a person can force themselves to be ready and live a life forcefully in readiness. But energy ready and force ready is two different types of ready. Okay? It's two different types of ready. Being attuned and frequency ready, force ready is two different types of ready. Me being ready because I'm trying to be in compliance because the government is going to come down and take my stuff, or me being ready because my husband don't like a nasty place, or me being ready because I don't want somebody to take my kids, or me being ready is two different types of ready than me being truly energetically ready. That's two different types of ready. I'm being forced to be ready because my husband don't like a dirty house, or I'm being forced to be ready because I don't want them to take my kids, or that's two different types of ready. Energetic ready and being forced ready is two different types of ready. True ready and force ready is two different types of ready. When you are truly energetically ready, okay, true ready is different. Okay? So if I were to come into a midst of somebody energetically that is displaying that type of energy, I'll be like, when you're ready, when you're truly ready, all of this will change. You will sit down and have a conversation with yourself, and you'll go into your backlog and you'll clean up. Because I had to clean up a lot of stuff, and I'm still drawing the line right now today. I'm drawing a line in the sand, and I'm like, yeah, but no. Yeah, but no. Bye-bye. Yeah, I like you, but no. I won't deal with you unless you are going to meet me in my energy field. I ain't saying that I won't have nothing to do with you, and I ain't saying that I don't love you, but I ain't stupid at your level. I ain't finna argue with you. I ain't finna fight with you. I ain't meeting you where you at. I ain't bowing to no lower vibrational state or no lower experience that I do not want to experience. See, I'm drawing the line in the sand. You understand what I'm saying? You could be where you want to be, but if it ain't where I want to be, we ain't being. Okay? Boundaries for self. That's right. Exactly. It ain't got shit to do with love. It ain't got shit to do with love. I love you. But if you want to argue, fuss, and fight, and you wanna raise your voice at me, baby, you ain't hey, yo. No, 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 no. I said no, 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 no. I said no, 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 no. It's a no, 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 no. You ain't finna raise your voice at me. I ain't talking to you like that. You ain't finna talk to me like that. Now, if you want to talk like that, you can talk like that, okay? But you ain't finna talk to me like that. And I ain't gonna raise my voice like that. You just going on over there and talk to whoever you want to talk to like that. If they allow you in their field of energy to talk to them like that, then you more than welcome over there. You ain't got no air over here. You understand what I'm saying? So you just have to hold the tone. You have to hold the boundaries. You have to hold the tone. When you are ready, when you are energetically ready, it's a big difference when you are ready. Your house will reflect when you are truly ready. Your car will reflect when you are truly ready. People get into my car right now. They swear to God, my car is a brand new car. They be like, when you got this car? When you got this car? And I'm like, girl, this car going on 3 years old. You lying. I'm like, no, I ain't lying. This car going on 3 years old. When you are ready. I was on here earlier for you guys that are just coming on here. Now, my husband, the kids, I just got I have my grandkids now. And my husband saw all the clothes in the hamper because he's not used to all them clothes. Because there's 3 of them, and they all in school, and they the uniform. And my husband was like, I'm not going back to Glen Cove days. And we said, no, nobody ain't going back to Glen Cove days. Nobody going back to, because Glen Cove days we ain't had a wash and a dryer. And it was easy for me to go and get me an outfit than to go to the wash house back then when I was young, in my 20s, okay? That's how long it was before my daughter was born, okay? And he was like, oh, no, he went all the way back damn near 30 years, okay? Oh, no, I ain't going back to Glen Cove. I'm like, Glen Cove, that's 30 years ago, okay? That brother went all the way back. I ain't going back to Glen Cove days. I'm like, well, damn, it was that bad. It's like, okay, it was like that bad, right? So, we've all had, hi, T-Love, hey, beautiful, gratitude for your presence, beautiful, welcome, and thank you for tuning in to my frequency. I'm so grateful, welcome. So we've all had, these moments, but when you are ready to energetically move it to that, okay, cuz he was like, oh, this was just the other day. He was like, oh, no, okay, I ain't going back into that. All right, he wasn't even he didn't even want a millimeter of a possibility of an iota of a second. Okay, it wasn't happening, Captain. He was like, okay, he about to do a darn Jackie Chan. He was finna do a Jackie Chan on that. Okay, he wasn't playing. All right, let me get into these. I gotta do the organized side of self. I promised that I was gonna do an organized side of self. Okay. All right. So we're gonna clearly define. Okay. I'm gonna do it. Okay. All right. So everything is energy, right? But energy can move at different rates. All right. When it moves freely, we experience clarity and we experience lightness, right? But when it's condensed through stress, fear, or overthinking, it densifies. It becomes dense. Okay, so we know when we're stressed out, we can't think, right? We got too much going on. You be like, I got too much going on. I can't think straight because you're getting condensed. It's becoming dense because everything is beginning to get stagnant. Okay, you can't. There's no flow. There's no fluidity. So you're taking on a lot more than what you feel that you're able to contain. Okay. And so you feel sluggish. You don't feel like doing anything. You don't feel like doing nothing. That's where the depression and all of that stuff comes into part, and all this other kind of stuff. You're compressed and different things of that nature. All right. Density is not bad. It's simply slow moving energy. Okay. The distortion is what is the kicker, but we're gonna get into that. Now, density is where, like, everything is just slow. So when we decided to move into third density, to experience third density, it was just to slow things down so that we can experience form, so that you can have your piece of cake and you can, you know, experience life in slow motion. Okay, everything is not as, it's the distortion that moved us into survival that made us experience life as what we perceive as hard. Okay, but we're gonna get into the distortion part too, and we're gonna rise out of it too. It's not bad. When you get into this, it's kind of hard to tell beings that are actually experiencing right now. Because let me tell you something. The 6 months ago, you wouldn't been able to have this conversation with me. Trust. Okay, I would have like, what are you talking about? But, it is what it is. When you know better, you start to get to do better, and you begin to understand. And I get it, but I do understand where this may not resonate right now. But eventually, when you begin to, raise the vibration a little bit more to understanding, you'll be like, oh, I remember when Divine said that, or Patrice said that. Now I get it. Now I get it. Yeah, it's cause, right? That 6 months ago, I would have been like, whatever. But now I understand it, okay? All right, density in the environment. The outer world mirrors the inner, okay? Okay, so basically this is whatever you got going on within is going to project the outer world. We talked about that in terms of the void of self, right? You feel much lighter. Absolutely, you do feel much lighter when you know what's actually transpiring. Absolutely, you feel intensely much lighter. Okay, when you look at density experienced in distortion, you're describing the moment when slow moving energy becomes interpreted through a misaligned lens. So distortion is when now you are no longer aligned. This is where misalignment and alignment. So third density was never really the issue. It's when we became unaligned. Okay, that's when we became unaligned, misalignment. Distortion is what created when we were no longer aligned. Okay. All right, so, as I've said, the pure tone over here, if there is anything that you do not understand in my transmission, please do not hesitate to ask, because this is where, I pride myself into practicality, right? I pride myself into practicality to be clear and cogent in the transmissions, because I understand that things are very layered in storytelling. And so when you hear pure tone in my transmission, I want, when you hear those stories, you're able to still hear the pure tone. If the pure tone is in those stories, you will still be able to hear the true you, the source you in those stories. So this is the purpose of me only expressing in pure tone. So when the story is layered, you can still hear source, which is you. Okay, you can still hear yourself. Okay, so when distortion comes into the midst of it, that is when you now are unaligned. And so when you're misaligned, that's where you're now starting to feel depressed, and that's where the clutter and all of the poverty and the struggles, and because you're no longer aligned. You're now in survival. That's where the survival tone came into effect, because of distortion. Okay, the distorted version of you. All right. So Source decided to experience a distorted self. Distortion is in hierarchy of spirituality. Decided to put on a robe, a spiritual robe. Hierarchy is a major distortion. One of the toughest distorted versions of selves that's out there. When I say it's one of the biggest muscles out there, It's one of the biggest muscles out there, hierarchy. A lot of people is, it's one of the biggest muscles out there, but I digress. I digress. I'm going to keep it moving. Okay. All right. All right. So when you look at density experienced in distortion, you're describing moments when slow-moving energy becomes interpreted through misaligned lens. The energy itself is still neutral. The magician. Okay. Okay, cuz. The energy itself is still neutral. It's simply condensed, but distortion is how consciousness perceive condensation. Now, I'm not here to navigate how you guys want to interpret distortion, because everybody experiences distortion, but I will say it's misalignment. So misalignment is a part of the survival state of understanding, right? The survival experiences. And it's what keeps us in the hustle, is what keeps us, one of the things that I will say, a lot of people are talking about, oh, the government is shutting down. The government is shutting down. I'm like, yes. Yes. Yeah. Hercules. So if the government's shutting down and you still living and you still eating and you still breathing and you still going to the bathroom and you still opening up your refrigerator and you still doing things, do you really need it if it's shutting down? I'm just saying if it can just shut down and stuff still continuing in your relative reality, I'm just saying you might want to look at that with a different set of lens. I'm trying to tell you something without saying it. Hi, Navy Sunshine 05. I came in at the right time. I needed to hear this. Well, I'm grateful. Gratitude for your presence. Thank you for divinely tuning into my frequency. I'm so divinely grateful. And welcome. I'm just saying, like, that's a distorted sense of operational aspect, is the control of to govern thy mental. You really obviously don't need governing. You just want to experience that of outsiders. I'm not going to get into that. Whatever, tomato, whatever you want to do, whatever you want. You know you will provide for yourself because you are a source. Moving on. All right. Mechanism. Energy moves slowly, right? In the distal side, energy moves slowly. We feel discomfort. The lower mind tries to explain the discomfort. It creates a narrative. It creates a story. Okay? Source experience and cause. Absolutely. Okay? The story begins to hard into density. So what it does now, you are in agreement. When the story begins to hard into density, that means that you are now agreeing to the programming of the story. This is where now you are becoming hook, line, and sunk to it. It's now becoming form. The clay is hardening. It's becoming form. Now you are experiencing third density in form. Form. Bing. So, but it's distorted. It's a distorted. So that's just like, you making, okay, you know how when, I shouldn't tell y'all this, but you know how Macy's, right? You know how, designers, right? They sell they good stuff to like Macy's and Dillard's and Saks Fifth Avenue, but they sell they stuff that was like a hit or miss to Burlington, Marshalls, TJ Maxx. It still got the label on it. It still say Nike. It still say Calvin Klein. It still say whatever it says on it. But it didn't make the cut to be sold in Macy's. It didn't make the cut to be sold in Saks Fifth. Or it didn't make the cut to be sold in Dillard's, or, you know, all of the high-end, right. But they're bottom tier, Mr. Overett says, yes, right? Because they kind of distorted. Got a little defect. Okay? Inform. Hi, Angela. Hi, beautiful. Gratitude for your presence. Thank you for divinely tuning into my frequency. I'm so divinely grateful to have you. And welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. I gotta go, y'all. I gotta go. I didn't really mean for it to be this long. I mean, it's, you know, short, but, you know, I'm trying to keep it under 3 hours and everything, but I get so long-winded. I'm just not gonna put no cap on my lives no more. I be trying to, because I wanted to maintain a sense of organicism, but I gotta go pick up my grandbaby. I saw Fubu in Former Mills. I never heard of that store. I never heard of Former Mills. I guess that's not a Southern thing. I never heard of it. Yes, 111, 111. Oh, 111. Okay, yes. But let me get through it really quickly. The mechanism is that energy moves slowly and we feel discomfort. The lower mind tries to explain the discomfort, so it creates a narrative. It creates a story. And so now the story that you've created to justify it, right? It hardens into an identity. It creates a program for it, so that way now you can begin to experience it. So you creating a story for it basically gives an agreement that you want to now program that into your relative reality. Okay, you're saying, yes, I want to experience this distorted version of the reality. And so you're in agreement with it. So now it's taken shape and form for it to become now a relative reality, a divine programming in your relative reality, right? But it's a heavier, denser aspect, because now you're in density, which is third density, and now it's a distorted aspect of the you said ding ding ding. See, it's a, yeah, the cars get it, right? It's just a distorted reality that you are agreeing with, that you have now installed into your hardware of being. Okay, all right. So the expression in life, emotionally, you're now having reoccurring loops of this reality. And because it's distorted, you're going to get reoccurring, instead of, third density in an aligned aspect of your joyful self. It's a little slow, but you're still slowly enjoying yourself. You're still looping the happiness of self because you're in an aligned state in density. It's just a little slower, but you're in an alignment. But a misalignment in distortion, now you're getting reoccurring loops of guilt, shame, anger. You're getting constant loops of guilt, shame, and anger. Okay, that's what the programming is giving you in a distorted self that you have downloaded a distorted. That's just like downloading a Trojan horse. You know how they say you got a Trojan horse, and you got what they used to call them things when a virus. You got a virus on your, in your application or something like that or whatever, right? So instead of you being on a loop of an alignment aspect of third density, you are in a loop of a misaligned aspect when you are in a distorted state. You programmed a malware. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Overett. Thank you, Mr. Overett. Yay. Thank you, Mr. Overett. Malware, right? So now you done downloaded a Trojan horse when you misalign, basically. Okay, I'm just giving you guys something to associate and assimilate when you can, so you can understand when you are in a distorted sense of experiencing the survival state of being, which is and you're repeating it over and over and over again, and you don't, and it's survival is just the malware of survival. Done grasp you, got its claws in you, in your nervous system. It just got a hold of you. You know what I'm saying? All right, let me move a little faster. All right, let me get through it. And I'll come back. You know what, you guys? I'm going to come back on. I'm going to do a part 2. I'm going to go get my babies. Yeah, we start. I'm going to go get my babies and I'm going to come back on and do a part 2. How about that? Because I think this is probably a little bit more, it needs to be a little bit more in depth, right? All right, so you're overthinking, you have rigid beliefs that filters new information. So because this malware is constantly on repeat, right? He's a kid, and both of y'all talking about, yeah, Mr. Overett on the YouTube side say, okay, and then Kyle on this side talking about, yay, okay, all right, we shall. So now you got, overthinking, rigid beliefs that filter new information. So even if you got new stuff coming in, because it's kind of like malware and you got, it's taking over, you can't even get the new information in because the malware is like kicking it out. I don't want no new information because I done took over. I'm malicious. I'm distorted, right? You're welcome, Nelly Sunshine. You welcome. I'm distorted. I'm malicious. I done took over the program because you done agreed to the distorted version, right? Right? Oh, they keep pausing the lie. Oh goodness. Right? So, there you go. So there it is. Like now, the new information is trying to override it. Like you got some good coming in your life. And you got some things that's coming in to try to override it that's aligned. But because now you got so much that's, distorted, that's unaligned, that's misaligned, the misalignment is overriding what's aligned. Because you're so focused into the density of the misalignment, you can't even enjoy the things that is the truly you that are aligned, right? And then the physical part of it, you're feeling that body ache and everything. You just don't feel good. You don't feel good now because your nervous system is really, on fleek right now. Hi, Ebony One. Gratitude for your presence. Thank you for divinely tuning into my frequency. I'm so divinely grateful and welcome. Thank you for being here. You got the tension, you got the clutter, you got the stagnation. And then your finances is on the ruckus because they say now you gotta consume energy in order to sustain, and then now you gotta work, right? You gotta work in order to sustain, right? You gotta trade your time for money, right? So now you gotta trade your time. You gotta give up some energy. You gotta consume energy, and then you gotta give up some energy. So what do that leave you? That leave you negative. So now you in the negative before you can even be positive because we decided to download malware distortion frequency codes into our hardware. Boy, look at here. A sister done broke that thing down to the lowest common denominator, and then we wonder why we got clutter in our life. Yeah, we got to do a part 2, but that part 2 going to be lit because I ain't going to have no paper. I ain't doing no paper on no part 2. Part 2, you going to get the thug version. Hey, part 2 gotta be the thug version now. I can't work with that. I can't work with no paper. I'm trying to be all studious and everything. I can't work with no paper. I still got the other side to do. Hey, I don't even know what side I'm on. What side? You see, I ain't used to working with no paper. I'm trying to be all studious. All right, Disney experience and distortion. Did I do all that already? I think I did. I don't know. I don't even know. Okay, maybe. All right, maybe. All right, so did I do it on this side? Did I talk about mechanism, expression in life? Yes, transformation. Okay, integration practices. All right, so now if you want to try to shift the polarity of the denser experience, which I don't know. I might bring that back on the next live on what to do to kind of like shift it. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I organized pie. I know pie still ain't organized. Oh God. Oh, Mr. Over say ain't no pauses over on the YouTube side, y'all. On the YouTube side, there's no pauses. But I'm not. Hey, listen, I'm not. I'm very improv. I ain't organized, y'all. I'm trying to be organized. It ain't. I'm just me. I felt like if I tried to have this little piece of paper, I said, let me be me first. Let me be me first, and then get y'all a little organized. That ain't even working. It ain't even working. Okay, so I don't know. I don't know. But I don't recommend cold turkey. I really don't recommend cold turkey. But in all truth, everything is within. Like everything is within. I will give you guys what was recommended and everything like that. But I'm gonna tell y'all what I did. I'm gonna always tell y'all what I did. Now, the reason why I'm gonna tell y'all what I did, not for you guys to do what I did, but to trust the divine that is within. That's the reason why I'm gonna tell you what I did. Because trust the divine that is within you. What the divine within you tell you to do, because that's what the print, the end, your energy signature knows what to do for you. Now, these cadences and different things like that comes along to kind of help soften the blow and different things of that nature to try, to get you from point A to point B. They're nice and dandy and everything like that. But if you a G like me, I was a G in this, and you may be a G too. You might not. This soft shit might not work for you. This softer version of self. If you a thug like me, this softer version of self ain't gonna work. You gonna still default to the true self and thug it. Okay, if you're a thug like me, if you're a rebel soul like me, right? It ain't gonna work for you. The softer version ain't gonna work. Okay, that's just like eating them baby. What they used to give us when we used to have a favorite, them baby bears. Them baby bear pills, they used to taste like candy. They used to dissolve in your mouth. That's just like eating baby bears, okay? Right? Hi, Kayla. Hey, beautiful. Gratitude for your presence. Yes, it's been a while. So good to see you too, Mama. Gratitude for your presence. Thank you for divinely tuning into my frequency. I'm grateful. I gotta go, y'all. I gotta pick my baby up at 1:30. But he right down the street though. But I'm gonna do a part 2. I'm gonna do a part 2 both on YouTube as well as, hey Mama, I'm gonna do a part 2 on YouTube as well as Instagram. And I'm gonna give you my version, and I'll give you the soft version, but not to say to do what I did, but to listen to your inner self. Your inner self, your inner self, your inner self, your inner self, because you come equipped. You come equipped. Okay? All right? So I do got to get out of here, y'all. I got to go, so I won't be immediately uploading this video onto, Instagram, yes. I'll be immediately uploading Instagram, but I won't be immediately uploading the video for YouTube, because YouTube take too much time for me to get it up there, and I got to go pick up my baby. But I'm going to do a part 2 probably sometime tonight. And if you guys want to be here tonight, I'm gonna post it onto my I'll let you guys know I'm live in my channel, my the channel thing, IG channel thing. I don't know what they call it, right? I'll post it over there, let you guys know I'm on live both on IG as well as YouTube. But this is about distortion. This is about understanding distortion frequency. Yeah, the group chat, the channel group chat. Yes. This is about understanding distortion frequency and clutter. What clutter represent in sacred divine understanding, right? Not the sacrifice of self, but the equality of understanding self inequality. And that means that I see you as I see myself. So if I see you with the clutter, I'm not going to belittle you because I see you in clutter. I'm going to understand why that clutter is from an energetic perspective. But I'm not going to try to change you either, right? I'm just going to say, you know, you can change that when you are ready. Okay, when you're ready, energetically ready, not forcefully ready, energetically ready. And then we're going to chop it up with some things. Like I say, all of my lives are Q&A because I'm choosing to express source tone in purity. Pure tone, pure tone. So that way, when you hear any story that is layered, you will be able to hear yourself. Okay? You will hear yourself. Okay, I'm grateful, beautiful. Thank you unto you, reflection. I'm grateful. Okay. All right. So this is not my story. This is not my tone. This is not Patrice's tone. It is, I am choosing to express pure tone without distortion. I'm choosing to express pure tone without distortion. Okay, so that when you hear other stories that are layered, you will be able to see yourself, hear yourself in divine remembrance. Okay, no matter what story you hear across the globe, across the galaxy, across the universe, you will be able to see and hear yourself in every story that is told if they are speaking in pure tone. You will know. You won't have to guess. Okay? All right. I'm grateful. I gotta go, guys. Mwah. I love you guys. Mwah. I'll see you guys later on this evening. All right. All right. Mwah. I love you too, Kayla. All right, baby girls. All right. So tonight, Instagram and YouTube, Nelly Sunshine. I'm grateful. If you guys want to join my channel on IG side, just inbox me and I'll send you the notification thing so you can join the channel, so that way you can get notifications that I'm live both on IG as well as Instagram. All right, I love you guys immensely. All right, I'll see you guys later. All right, later. I can't do the breath work. I'm so sorry, you guys. So we'll do it when I start the next live. All right, I love you guys. Later.